This week on Africa Weekly, we travel to Mauritania, where Senegalese fishermen can once again cast their nets in the fish-rich waters of their northern neighbour. And we take you to Reunion Island, where the local surfing federation has been on a mission to make the waters safe again after a recent spike in shark attacks. But first, a summary of the stories that made the headlines this week. Nearly 400 people have been confirmed dead after a tropical cyclone struck Mozambique, Zimbabwe and Malawi last week, with hundreds of thousands of lives still at risk. International aid agencies raced to rescue survivors and meet spiralling humanitarian needs in the three impoverished countries, battered by one of the worst storms to hit southern Africa in decades.
At the moment we're helping with the assessments, we're bringing in food through with airplanes and helicopters, we're bringing down helicopters and we've started the food distribution for all the people affected in the flood and the cyclone affected areas.
The scope of the tragedy is massive, with officials estimating that 1.7 million people have been affected. Aid agencies said they were prepared for the cyclone, which made landfall early Friday, March 15th, but not for the massive floods that followed. Mozambique bore the brunt from rivers that flow downstream from its neighbours.
When the storm started, we ran to find somewhere safe. We had no food and our clothes were soaked. We couldn't believe we were alive. We were very scared. And now we're here. We've lost clothes and even food. Everything is soaked, including our clothes.
Funerals were held on Sunday in Ethiopia for victims of the Ethiopian Airlines crash a week after the incident, which killed all 157 passengers and crew on board.
It's not only Ethiopian people who are grieving, but the whole world. We may all be different colours, but the truth is, we're all the descendants of Adam and Eve. When even one person dies, it causes us all to grieve.
Families in 35 nations were left bereaved when the Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft plummeted from the sky just minutes into its flight to Nairobi. Although Ethiopia has warned the investigation would take considerable time, there were swift moves in the wake of the crash to ensure the worldwide grounding of the Boeing aircraft. Tens of thousands of Algerians took to the streets of the capital on Tuesday, just hours after long-term leader President Abdelaziz Bouteflika confirmed his plans to stay in power after his mandate expires next month. Bouteflika, who has ruled Algeria for 20 years, again defied demands that he should quit and confirmed on Monday that he will stay on beyond the end of his term of office next month. At least one police officer was killed on Saturday in the Democratic Republic of Congo when violence broke out after the crushing defeat of new President Félix Tshisekedi's party in the previous day's Senate election. Tshisekedi was sworn in on January 24th after a bitterly disputed election mired by fraud allegations, replacing Joseph Kabila after his 18 turbulent years in power. Tshisekedi's UDPS, the country's largest and oldest opposition party, held protests on Friday night and Saturday in the capital Kinshasa. The size of the majority win means the pro-Kabila FCC coalition will be able to make changes to the country's constitution or pursue legal proceedings against the current head of state. In the run-up to Sunday's presidential election in the Comoros, President Azali Assoumani said the opposition, who have accused him of attempting to rig the election, have nothing to fear.
I can tell them not to be afraid. If we shout, "We are beaten," before going to war, that means we are afraid. They must not be afraid.
11 opposition candidates running in the poll have issued a joint call for a transparent vote, fearing fraud by Assoumani, who is seeking re-election. The president, who was elected in 2016, is tipped by observers to win the election, the first round of which is due to be held on March 24th.
After years of uncertainty and tension, these Senegalese fishermen are free to roam once more. A scarcity of fish in their own territories forced them into fishing in the waters of their neighbour to the north, Mauritania. But now they can do so without fear of retribution.
Before, we were fishing illegally in Mauritanian waters. We were uneasy. We would run off whenever we saw the Coast Guard's flashlight. Thank God there's now a deal in place.
The situation was souring relations between the two countries. Senegalese fishermen often refused to be officially registered and were reluctant to land their catches in Mauritanian ports. Last year, one fisherman was even killed by Mauritanian coast guards. But now, 400 Senegalese fishing boats are licensed to operate offshore, subject to taxes and a quota of the catch that must be reserved for the local market.
The quantities will increase, everyone will benefit. The small traders who could only have 50 kilos of fish per day will have 100. The companies that were processing it will go from 1 to 2 or 3 tons. The state will benefit from it. Instead of 5 containers, companies will pay tax to export 10 containers. The benefits are wide-ranging.
The return of the Senegalese is expected to lead to lower prices in the local markets, as well as reviving the fishing industry in general, a sector that has not always been highly valued by Mauritanians.
There are 52 companies here in Nouakchott that weren't operating before. They were working at 10%, 20% of capacity. Now they will work at 80% and they will increase employment.
For now, all parties seem to be happy with the deal, with many staking their livelihoods on it being in place for a long time to come.
No one expected the island of Reunion to regain its reputation as a surfing and bodyboarding paradise. But wave cravers are once again practicing their sports in the once forbidden waters of the so-called Shark Island.
Really, it's a relief, being able to enjoy the ocean a bit, thanks to the lookouts, and surf in safety. At least you're not thinking about the sharks.
But in this French territory located in the Indian Ocean, sharks have often been a major concern. 23 attacks have been reported since 2011, 11 of which were fatal. In response, the Island Surfing Federation created a shark lookout system. It involves underwater cameras, a drone, 7 shark spotting divers, and 2 boats. In total, it's a team of 20 people working 5 days a week to secure a surfing area. And it works.
We had 3 alerts last year. There was one suspected shark attack because there was commotion underwater and apparent hunting, so we warned the surfers and evacuated the spot. And the other 2 times, it was an actual shark, a bull shark, which was outside the safety zone about 10 meters away, so we sounded the alarm and the surfers were out in 5 minutes.
There have been no shark attacks on humans in any location that the system has been operating in since it began in 2015. But some free-spirited surfers have found the rigid schedules and registration requirements too restrictive. At locations including Trabasa, people are increasingly opting to practice free surfing on unsupervised waves. They have rules of their own for staying safe.
I go in when the water is clear and there are small waves. I abide by these rules. Passion overcomes all obstacles, so I keep surfing.
But the risks are very real, prompting some surfers to turn to technology. Devices like this one create an electromagnetic field to repel sharks.
It's reassuring when there's a lot of people using it. We think that maybe it creates a wide field around us that keeps the sharks away.
Scientists are struggling to explain the dramatic increase in shark sightings on Reunion. Until they do, the surfers of this tropical paradise have taken matters into their own hands.
The annual Cape Town Carnival kicked off this weekend as revelers celebrated the city's diversity in a dazzling array of sounds, colours and dance.
Actually, you get to see different cultures, and then their music is so cool.
That's all from us at Africa Weekly. Until next week.